Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsea. If you like this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up or commenting below. If you want to see more of my videos, press the subscribe button and click on the bell for notifications. If you need any Stampin' Up! Products to make these cards, you can visit my online store and the link is in the description box below. Last week, Stampin' Up! Came out with their last chance list of products that will be retiring with the release of the new catalog in June 2020. There were some products on that list that are favorites of mine. For the month of May, I want to share with you some of the cards that I've made with these great products. If you haven't already, go check out the list. Everything is limited, so when it is gone, it's gone. I will place the link in the description box below. Today's video is all about the fun Bonanza Buddies stamp set and its coordinating dies. I am so sad this bundle is retiring. I am not usually into cute animal stamps, but this one is so fun. Today, I wanted to show you how easy it is to create with these cute guys and came up with 3 boy birthday cards. So let's go ahead and get started making these cards. So all of my cards are focused on the 2018 to 2020 in colors. And so you've got the lovely lipstick, the blueberry bushel, the call me Clover, the pineapple punch, the grapefruit grove, and then I've added smoky slate as my neutral, along with basic black, the Memento ink. So these are all the colors, the in colors that are going to be retiring in June. And so once the new catalog comes out, there'll be a new set of in colors and we won't be able to purchase these ones. And these colors are just really bright and fun and they're perfect for boy birthday cards. This card uses lovely lipstick and the blueberry bushel and with a hint of the pineapple punch. So to do our stamping, we're going to start with doing some pattern stamping in the background. And I've got the blue is with the circle, and that circle is the same circle I'm using for the balloons here. And then we've got this longer, kind of like a birthday present, but it's got stripes. And so I'm using that as just a element to create a pattern for the lovely lipstick cardstock. So another product that's retiring is this paper piercing mat. And it's another one that I use all the time. And so I'm kind of confused as to why it's going because I love it for when I'm stamping with photopolymer images. And so I'm just a little confused onto why some of my favorite products are leaving. So if you don't have a paper piercing mat, and you think it would be helpful for you to have, you should jump over to my online store and get one. So we're just doing color on color stamping. And so I'm just using the blueberry bushel with the blueberry cardstock and just creating a pattern with this circle stamp. And I always create my patterns in a diagonal starting with a diagonal going across the cardstock. And this, like I've said before in my other videos, just helps me create a nice even pattern that I can kind of control where I place my images. Now it's not extremely random. So you'll notice that it has a little more order to it than maybe a different way of stamping. But I think it just gives a really nice pattern to my papers. Okay, so the next one is lovely lipstick. And that's going to be with the long birthday present image. And I'm just keeping this I'm just going to keep it going one direction all the way down. And so I'm just kind of staggering how that image goes on my cardstock. So sometimes it's going to go over and there'll be a bigger gap in the middle, while other times it's going to be full on or off to the side. So just try to create some variety and stamp it all the way down your cardstock. Okay, like that. So all of the cardstock dimensions, as well as the product I'm using, can be found in the description box below. So if I forget to tell you what size cardstock I'm using, you can just search for that below. So I'm using a 2-inch strip of cardstock, and I think it's probably about 4¼ inches long, along with the triple banner punch. And I'm just going to punch out the bottom of this cardstock to create a banner. And this is where I'm going to be stamping my greeting as well as the balloons for my card. Let's start with the greeting. So the greeting is also part of the stamp set. And that's another thing I love about this stamp set, is that it comes with everything you need to create some really cute birthday cards. And if you do get the stamp set, you don't want to forget about the coordinating dies, because they make cutting out these cute little critters so easy. So just ink up your greeting, and I'm just using the Memento Black, and I'm going to center that at the top. And then on the other side, I've placed the balloon, what are those? Strings. And I'm just going to stamp that kind of in the center of my banner. Next, I'm going to take my 3 primary colors, and I'm going to stamp the balloons. And I'm going to start with my yellow, just so that I don't accidentally pick up any extra color and make that yellow a little more orangey. So I've got my pineapple punch first, then I'm going to clean it and go to my lovely lipstick and place that down. And it's okay if they overlap a little bit. And then clean it, and then blueberry bushel. And that one just right there. Okay, so I really love when balloons have this cute little tie at the bottom. And so all I did to create this is I got a really good ballpoint pen, and I just had this laying around, or you could use our like journaling marker or something like that. And I'm just going to create some little bows at the bottom of my balloons. And to make them look really cute, you're just going to like have those ties kind of flip out at the bottom. Like that. Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to stamp is our little toucan, and I've got him in the Memento Black ink. I think he and the koala are my 2 favorite out of these little guys. And then this little image here is the fill-in for his beak, and I've got that in Pineapple Punch. And I've seen lots of different things you can do with it. I've seen some people use their markers and color each one of these a different color, but this is easy. You can just fill it all in with one stamp. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the side, and I'm going to punch all my images out at the same time. So let's go ahead and finish putting this card together, and then we'll punch him out and add him last. So this card is really simple, but just is so cute. with the way the papers are laid out. So I've got my Smoky Slate Cardstock. Then you're going to place the blueberry bushel. Now this is 3 inches by 3.5 inches. So it is slightly longer on one side. And so you want the long way to be running horizontal when you place this on your card. And you're placing it about 1 inch or so from the top, right along the edge of that open flap. Then you're going to add your lovely lipstick, and this just goes down your card and leaving maybe about 1/2 inch or so. I want this side up. Leaving about 1/2 inch or so on the left so you can still see that pattern from the circles. And it just goes to the top edge there. Next, I'm using a Daffodil Delight ribbon. And this is just the ruffled Daffodil Delight. And it will still be in the new catalog. So that will be nice because it is such a fun ribbon to use. I'm just going to add some snail to the back, fold this in half, maybe making one tail a little longer than the other, and then sticking it to the back of my banner so that there is a little loop as well as those tails are coming down in the center. And then we can add this with some dimensionals. I'm just going to place them in the corner and then one in the middle for support. And we just place this kind of in between all those other pieces. And you know what? I'm noticing that my ribbon is a little high. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit so that I'm not going to be off that card too much. There we go. That's a little bit better. So then I can stagger it and have it come up a little bit on the top. And then there's just about 1/2 inch there on the bottom, on the right side. But I'm not kind of hitting over that top of the card. And then once we've cut this out using the coordinating dies, then we can add that to our card. So let's go ahead and move on to card number 2. Okay, so this is going to be our card number 2. We've got some pattern stamping in the background, and then our little guy, and then our greeting happy birthday. So let's start with that. So we're using all of the in colors for this card, and our pattern has the lovely lipstick. I'm going to move these so they don't get any ink on them. We also have the blueberry bushel, and we're using the Call Me Clover. Okay, so we're going to do the Call Me Clover with this circle, and I'm just going to kind of place this down my diagonal line like I like to, and then move to my next shape, which is my triangle. And so this is going to be in the blueberry bushel, and I'm just going to place that at some different angles coming down that diagonal. And then I'm going to fill in some of those spaces with this little pom-pom in lovely lipstick. Okay, now these don't have to be super close to each other. We can have some spaces. So as we start working our way outside of that diagonal, you can just kind of come up with however you want this pattern to look. You can do it close or kind of have them far away from each other. So that is totally up to you. Okay, and then a couple red pom-poms floating around. And then I think one more set and we should be good. Put one down here, maybe one up there, and one next there. Okay, and then the red. And what I like about having a little stamp like this one is that they really can fill in wherever you feel like there's something missing. And they don't have to be far away from each other. You can stamp them close to one another or far away or in groupings. Just wherever you feel like you need that little extra color. Okay, so there's my fun pattern piece. Okay, now I'm going to stamp the greeting, and that's just in your black ink. And it's just going to be on this small piece of cardstock, which I've cut down, and I've listed the size in the description box below. And then we're going to stamp the lion, and we're going to do his body in the pineapple punch. And I'm going to place that right here. And then I'm going to do his mane and tail in the grapefruit grove. Now the nice thing about this is there are some dies that will cut this cute guy out. And so I'm going to put that to the side and cut that when I cut out the toucan. So now we can kind of put this card together. We've got our Smoky Slate base again. And then this is a blueberry bushel piece of cardstock. And what I've done is create this fun fringe along the outside. And you can either use your snips and just cut about 8 inches apart, 1/8 inches apart. Or if you have one of these, this is, I don't remember what this is called, but they're just scissors that have 4 different blades, 4 or 5 blades, and they will cut a fringe. And Stampin' Up! Used to sell these, and now they don't. So since we're talking about retired products, I just thought I'd show you something that used to be around, but isn't anymore, and how I still use it, and it's still really fun to have around my house. So it's a really fun, I can use them for like confetti, if I'm making a shaker card, things like that. Okay, so I decided not to cut all the way down right here. So I'm going to use my snips to kind of finish off that fringe. And I'm just going to finish the top and bottom. And then I'll do the sides. So when you're doing the sides, you just want to make sure that you aren't cutting too close to the bottom of your other fringe, or you will actually cut off some of that fringe. So I'm just going to take my snips and kind of finish some of this on the side and then leave it alone. So that's a really fun texture for a background. And I do like to hold on to retired items because you never know when you're going to need them. So we've got our pattern piece is going to go right on top. So let's go ahead and start adding these to my card base. I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive just so I have a nice strong bond with that. And I'm going to center it in my card, or on my card. And then kind of bring those back up. You can see how fun that texture is. Add your pattern paper next. And that just gets centered in that fringe area. Then I've got a piece of lovely lipstick, and I'm just going to place that at the bottom. And I'm going to have that actually come up a little bit higher than, so that it's not quite even, and I have a little more of that fringe showing at the bottom. And the reason for that is because my greeting, I do want that fringe to still show, but I want my red lipstick to be in the middle of my greeting. So you can see that when I add that over that, I still see some fringe. Now I'm using a circle die from the layered circle or layering circle framelits. So the size is about 2 inches is how big of a circle it will cut. And so that will get through my big shot. And then I am going to be using some of the red twine from the Country Club combo pack for this card as well. So those things are going to get cut at the big shot, and then we'll finish off this card. So I'm just going to place those off to the side. I'm going to put this with my toucan. And then we're going to go ahead and move to card 3. And I know I'm kind of doing this weird, but the reason is just because there's a lot of things to cut, and I can just run it through one time with my big shot. All right, so this card has another fun pattern, and we're using the rectangles. So we've got 3 different rectangle sizes, and we're going to be using those along with the bows. So there are 3 bows that coordinate with the 3 rectangles, and they all give us some fun, like, birthday presents we can create with this stamp set. I'm going to be using just 1 bow to kind of, so it's not too busy. So you can see that I've only placed the bows on the pineapple punch ones, and that kind of keeps the background from getting too busy. Okay, before we go on to the next card, I did forget to stamp the cute little face for our lion. And so there are these little insert faces you can see that go with our animals. And so I want to just ink that up in black ink and then line it up over his face and stamp it. And it just gives such personality to those cute little guys. Okay, so for this card, for the pattern, we're using Call Me Clover and Grapefruit Grove and Pineapple Punch. So I've got the long one in the Call Me Clover, the medium size in the Grapefruit Grove, and then the square is in the Pineapple Punch. So I'm just going to kind of do the same thing I did with the previous one and just randomly stamp these down in a diagonal shape and then kind of work my way out. I'm going to kind of place them so it looks like they're touching and stacked on each other, but having a little bit of space is not a bad thing, and so you can give any space that you maybe need as you're designing with these shapes. And rotating the direction that they go is really fun as well, and will just kind of give you some more options on how you can use these rectangles. Okay, so now that I have those, I'm just going to start kind of filling in and adding some here and there. Remember that you can use the white space of the cardstock to your advantage so that you can get just some fun patterns. All right, so something like that. So now I'm going to use the black ink and the bow for the more square card, and I'm just going to be adding a bow over that pineapple punch. And I want to just kind of give it all different directions so this paper looks like it can go any way. Okay, so for our last stamping, before we go to the big shot with our images, I'm gonna stamp the koala. And so he's just gonna be stamped in Smoky Slate. And then I'm gonna use the black ink for his little face as well. I just love his little smiling face, so cute. One of the things I love about Stampin' Up! Is they have coordinating dies for their images. So what we're going to do, we're going to be adding the dies to the images with a little bit of tape. And the reason I use tape is just so that they don't slide around once I've placed them in my big shot. And I just make sure the tape is always on the outside of the image, so that if by chance it does tear the cardstock, then I'm not having to restamp. So I'm just carefully lining these all up. And then I can just run them through the big shot all at the same time. All right, so along with this card, I did cut out one of the tags from the coordinating set. So that's going to be done just on some white Whisper white cardstock. And then I did punch out, or not punch out, but cut out 2 flags from Pineapple Punch. And so that's going to be at the big shot as well. And then I'm also running through the big shot my circle for my card number 2. So I'm going to take all these things to the big shot and I will be right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and cut everything out at the big shot. And now I'm just going to stamp my greeting right here on my tag. And that's just with the black ink. And you can either center it or put it off to the side. And now we're ready to assemble our third card. So again, I've got my card base of Smoky Slate Cardstock. And this card, if you can tell, is kind of pulled down to the bottom right corner. And everything is at a little bit of an angle. So it's kind of easy to put these kind of cards together. So you're just gonna lay it down. Your Call Me Clover cardstock goes down at an angle in the corner. And then we're going to add our pattern paper that we created. And that's just going to go on top at a opposite angle. And then we're going to add our things to our tag, and they will all be kind of popped up together. So the first thing is just put a dot of glue on the middle 2 flags of our banner. And then you're just going to place these kind of at an angle like the rest of our card, and like that. And then do the same with these 2 banners. And you're just going to add it. And this one's not quite at as much of an angle. This one is a little bit more flat. But I do want to see the gap. I don't want this one to overlap here, just the one in the middle where the koala will be over. And then he gets added with some dimensionals. add a cute little angle like that. So the next thing I'm going to add is a piece of black twine, and this also comes from the Country Club combo pack, and it's about 5 inches, and I'm just going to tie it so that the ends are kind of loose. So there's lots of different ways you can tie twine to a tag, but this way I wanted it to kind of have a fun element with those ends kind of being loose and not being too tight on there. And then once you've got it the way you want it, then you can snip it a little bit so that it's not quite as long. And then that gets added to our card with some dimensionals, and we can add a dimensional as well under these flags, just so that they're supported, and then some in the corner and middle of our tag. So this is the only thing that's not going to be at an angle. So try to just eyeball it and have it be on the card straight. Okay. So that card's all done. I think it turned out really cute, and it's really simple and fun for any boy. So let's jump back to card number 1 and add our toucan to our card. And so I'm just going to use some dimensionals and place him so that his beak is holding the grouping of balloons. And so I'm just going to kind of place him right about there. And then that card's all done. Super quick and easy cards. And then if we jump on to card number 2, we just need to add a couple things here. And we're going to start by adding our lion together. So he just starts with his base, and I'm just going to put some adhesive in the center so that I can kind of slide things under his body. So just kind of place him right there near the bottom. Then his mane goes next, and that's just flat on the Call Me Clover cardstock as well. We're also adding his tail with a little dab of glue. So just place that right on top, and you can do it at an angle or straight, however you want. And then you're going to add the little face with a dimensional. And you just need one in the center. And he just goes right over the center of that mane. Super cute. Okay, so on the back of our greeting, you can add a little bit of glue there, and it just slides under our lion. So that's why we didn't put a ton of adhesive on our lion. And you can either, so this is where you're going to kind of decide if you want your lion to be straight or at an angle. And I'm just going to place him at an angle. And then on the back, you're going to add some snail. And you're just going to place it in the center, and you're going to wrap your twine back and forth to kind of create a bow look over or behind your lion. Like that. So this one came at this angle, and this one is at a different angle. But either way works as well. We got stuck on those fringes. Okay, so just make sure those are down really well, and then you can add the dimensionals. Okay. So I'm just going to place it so the white edge lines up with the white edge of my background. And that card is all done. So I hope you enjoyed watching me put these cards together, and I know that any little kid that receives these for their birthday will also love them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, and share, Visit creativechelsea.com for a free tutorial of this project and to purchase the supplies needed. Have a creative day! Bye!